Felt like the majority of
Sure.
the members were in.
Or you can.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm Tim Hackman, and I call the March 25th, 2026 Park Authority Board and Committee meetings to order. Virginia law authorizes the remote participation of board members, provided the policy exists to ensure that such remote participation is consistently administered. This board has approved policy 111. Any such remote attendance must be approved by the board as long as a physical quorum of the board is actually present, which it is. Voices of the remote participants are able to be heard by every room, and the remote participation comports with the policy. So we're going to do a verification that the remote participant's voice is clear, audible, and an appropriate volume, confirmation of their location. There are members who are participating remotely tonight. I see Bill Bowie. Is FISO on yet as well? Not yet. Okay, we'll rebuild it. Bill Bowie, are you connected to this meeting remotely?
I am connected to this meeting remotely from my domain in Orlando, Florida.
Hope the spring season's been going well. So I move that Bill Bowie's voice may be adequate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Pursuant to the Park Authority's Policy 111 for remote participation in public meetings, I move that Bill Bowie be permitted to participate remotely in this meeting because it comports with the policy we adopted, and a physical quorum is present here at the Heritage Building Park Authority Boardroom.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we can now move to the Resource Management Committee, and Jonah, you're up.
But so I call the Resource Management Committee to order and presenting today.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, afternoon. My name is John Burke. I'm the Natural Resources Branch Manager with Park Authority. It's nice to see you all. Since about 2002, Fairfax County and Fairfax County Park Authority have been fighting off or dealing with the consequences of emerald ash borer, which is a beetle that affects ash trees throughout the United States now. We've invested, or spent rather, hundreds of thousands of dollars to remove dead ash trees, to cut down hazard ash trees that have been impacted by this pest, and continue to do so to some degree. The emerald ash borer changed the ecology and the natural character of a lot of our parks by basically removing mature ash trees from our ecosystems. And I'm here today with Joanne Allen to discuss another pest that I want to bring to your attention, because I feel that there will need to be considerable investment to manage 10, 15 years down the road. So the earlier we can talk about that, I think the better. Joanne?
Thank you. Thank you, John, for the nice introduction. And yeah, I wish I was here to talk about something a bit more positive. So I'm going to just give a little bit of a warning. This might be a little bit of a downer, but there's some hope. So just remember, at the end, there's hope. So I'm the Forest Health Branch Chief. My office is within the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services with the Urban and Community Forestry Division. And my group of people, my team works primarily with managing forest pests like emerald ash borer, leaf disease. And we also do a lot of forest health monitoring, kind of monitoring what trees we have in the county and what benefits they provide to our residents. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a talk about beech leaf disease and the anticipated effects we feel that it's going to have in the urban forest. Well, this works. Thank you. Point. Is it turned on?
Yeah, I turned it on.
I need to point it somewhere.
No, I can just do it if
Okay.
the button's not.
No, sorry, the button's not working for me. So yeah, thank you. So we can click again. And one more. Thank you. So, sorry, this is what beech leaf disease looks like. So it's caused by a invasive foliar nematode from Japan. So a foliar nematode is basically a leaf worm, and it was first found in Ohio in 2012. And these were the symptoms they were first finding. So the leaf worm will feed inside the leaf tissue and cause this striping pattern on the leaf. It can also cause other symptoms like browning or a change in texture from it being a soft leaf to a rough leaf or look kind of dried out. These symptoms will appear on the leaf as the leaf emerges from the leaf bud. So it's something that you see throughout the growing season. An important note about beech leaf disease, this pest only infests beech trees. So the common beech tree that we have here in the area is the American beech, but there's also European beech as well that can be affected. Next slide, please. So in case you were trying to imagine what a leaf worm would look like, this is it. It's a microscopic worm, so you can't see it with the naked eye. You would need a microscope in order to see it. These nematodes are spread by wildlife, such as birds, but also by other like weather conditions such as wind or rain as well. These nematodes can also be found in leaf litter too, including if it's underneath piles of snow. So they're pretty persistent in the environment and unfortunately have been found to spread very easily in this area and across the United States. Next slide. So it was, like, as I mentioned before, the BLD was first noticed in Cleveland, Ohio in 2012. 10 years later, it was then found in Fairfax, Virginia, in Burke Lake Park. I was looking for beach monitoring plots there, and the first place that I stepped into it at the park, it was right there. So unfortunately, this pest has spread very quickly. Normally, a lot of invasive pests are spread by people, and it doesn't seem to be the case with beech leaf disease. Next slide.
I'm sorry, where did it start?
Cleveland, Ohio. See where that is on the map? Go back one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Each color in the map is a different year where it was noticed.
But the everything else is white, so I had a hard time finding the little white spot.
Yeah, and part of it is when it was first infested and found in Ohio, they didn't even have a name for it. They didn't know what it was. It was just these weird striping patterns on leaves, and it took a couple of years for them to even identify what the issue was. And so as people have learned more about this pest, they've then further been able to find where it is, because unless you're looking for it, you wouldn't know how to identify or what it is.
It's coming hard and fast now, though, it looks like.
Yes. Next slide, please. So for those who need a visual on American beech trees, they're a beautiful tree, very common in the county. Based on surveys that we've done or studies that we've done in the county, they're amongst the top 3 species that are found. And so we have many forests that are filled with beech trees and that are important for wildlife habitat as well as a source of food through their beech nuts. And also, if you go into a park, they're often the tree that people carve on. So you can see that in the picture on the left. So it's because of the smooth bark. So beloved by all in the community. Next slide. So the picture you see in the slide is a visual representation of what you might expect once a forest stand is infested with beech leaf disease. So this is a picture of a beech stand in Fairfax County, and the X's on the picture are standing beech trees. There's actually more beech trees in the picture, but they're in the foreground. Many of the trees in the background are also beech trees. So we wanted to show this picture just to kind of give you a visual representation of what it might look like on the ground once beech leaf disease infests an area. So based on many of the presentations that we've seen on studies and observations of areas already infested with beech leaf disease, most American beech trees are susceptible to BLD and will die. So smaller beech trees die within about 3 years of being infested, and larger beech trees can take up to 10 years. they die just because the leaf worm feeds on the leaf tissue, and after a while, those leaves eventually succumb and die. And so after a period of years, more and more of those leaves die and the branches die, and then you end up with a tree with no leaves, and unfortunately, it's unable to produce its own food, and then they unable to survive. So some of the concerns that we have with forests that we have in the county is once you have all these trees that are dead, you have a couple concerns such as invasive plants that may come in once the trees are no longer alive. So that's an additional situation where you might have to manage more areas for invasive plants. It also poses safety issues for the public if they're near trails. Beechwood happens to be highly flammable too. So if you have dry conditions, there could be a threat for wildfires, which we do occasionally have in the county where we have small brush fires. Next slide. So the areas highlighted in the slide in the map are where we have surveyed for beech leaf disease. So we primarily focus on county properties, not so much public properties. And we have observed that since we have been monitoring for beech leaf disease, that not only is it spreading quickly throughout the country, but the areas that are infested are growing quickly as well. So some areas may double or even spread even more once infested. And we are finding new areas of infestation each year. Next slide. So when we're monitoring for beech leaf disease, this is the rating scale that we're taking down. So we're looking for, we're writing down whether, you know, it's a small infestation where just a few leaves infested, or if it's grown from moderate to heavily infested. So for example, the area that I first found in Burke Lake, that's near the maintenance area, it was just a few infested leaves that I found. Since then, since 2022, I would say that particular area is now mostly, the canopy is mostly infested. So it progresses unfortunately pretty quickly.
What spreads it? How's it actually spread?
Through wind. So once an area, so basically there aren't really any predators for beech leaf disease, so there's nothing feeding it or limiting the population. So once an area is infested, the nematodes just multiply quickly, and it's spread through wind or rain primarily. Next slide. So we've worked with a lot of partners to try to develop methods for monitoring both the presence of BLD and also helping researchers develop early detection methods for areas that haven't had beech leaf disease. So that's normally the most effective way of managing invasive pests or plants is developing an early detection strategy. So we've worked with the U.S. Forest Service and other university researchers in developing those methods. Next slide. So what options do we have for managing beech leaf disease? Unfortunately, there are no known, there's research being done on biological control, but nothing that's available to us currently. It also hasn't been found effective to remove beech trees from forests. So sometimes that's a method that can be used, but unfortunately with beech leaf disease, it hasn't. There's nothing to show that would be effective in that case. There has been a lot effectiveness found in chemical control, such as pesticide use or the use of fertilizers. So I have on the right-hand side, you can see that there's a few methods that I've outlined. So the first is the use of trunk injection treatment, where we inject the trees directly with a fungicide called Arbotech. It's a fungicide that's been used for Dutch elm disease and has been shown effective in controlling BLD and increasing the survivability of trees. And that's been found to be effective for up to 3 years. There's also a foliar spray. That's I think another fungicide. I can't remember what type of, what it's originally labeled for, but it has also been found effective for beech leaf disease. And that's more, that's better for smaller trees. So trunk injection is better for bigger trees. The foliar spray is better for smaller trees. And then there's a potassium based fertilizer that has also been found effective. And so the trunk injection's effective for 3 years. The foliar spray's been found effective for 1 year, as well as the fertilizer treatment. Also, just to note, these treatments, these chemical treatments are good for individual trees, not necessarily in the forest level. So it would be very burdensome and not cost effective to treat an entire forest stand. But if you have a rec center, a library where we have a highly valued beech trees, these would be good options for treatment. Next slide. So my office is starting a pilot project for a treatment program for beech leaf disease starting this summer. And so we're anticipating treating about 50 trees on county properties, primarily on Park Authority land. These are larger trees that are in high use areas such as playgrounds, campgrounds, parking lots, areas where there's a lot of high use and where we want to protect people from the potential dangers of dying trees. We are working on a contract currently to go out this spring, and hopefully the contractor will be treating these trees sometime between June and July. Next slide. So this is the method that we've chosen for treating our larger trees. So this is the trunk injection I described earlier with Arbotect. So the method for treatment for doing the treatment is first you drill holes around the base of the tree, and the number of holes are based on the size of the tree. And so once the holes are drilled, you put in these plugs that are attached to the plastic tubing. And the plastic tubing is attached to a large reservoir of highly diluted pesticide. And so the motor there pumps that pesticide through the tubing into the tree, and then the tree actively takes it up. And so from setup to the end of treatment, it could take over an hour for just one tree. And each treatment could require several gallons of water. So it's a resource intensive treatment method, but it has been shown to be pretty highly effective. Next slide. So I have maps of 2 parks where we're proposing to do these treatments. One is Burke Lake. So you can see the white dots are areas where we've surveyed trees and areas that we've deemed to be high use areas are amenity trees. And then the red dots are the trees that we plan on treating. So this treatment is only effective for trees that are already showing symptoms. It's not a good preventative treatment. The trees have to show active signs of infestation in order to be treated. So you can see the campground, this is some of the trees in the campground, the area by the maintenance area where we first found beech leaf disease near the golf course and the marina. Next slide. Also Riverbend Park is another park that we hope to be able to treat. So we actually had a treatment demonstration there last August where we partnered with Rainbow Science tree experts who are part of the team of people who have developed this as a treatment option for beech leaf disease. And so they were able to showcase how to do this type of treatment amongst many of the natural resource professionals in the area. Next slide. So just last slide, this just to show a picture of my team and everyone who worked hard to monitor for and develop all the treatment for forest pests in the county. So that is it.
Thanks, Joanne. So thank you for your time. I wanted to bring this to your attention and have Joanne join us because we operate together through MOU that allows Forest Health to work on parkland to detect issues like this, also provide recommendations and treatments. And just wanted to bring this forward to acknowledge that we have our work cut out for us. You mentioned it's the one of the top 3 trees in the county. So we're talking about pretty impactful consequences to our overall tree canopy, and beyond the ecological impacts that we will witness when these trees die off. We'll need to start thinking very soon about how we're going to manage all the standing deadwood forests. So
Before on to the taking off one hat and putting on the other. The thing about beech trees also is they're an older growth tree, and so they come up in a forest later on. And so everything else sort of comes up, and then a beech tree will come up and they'll spread out. And then there's like data on whether or not they exhibit allelopathy, which means that they sort of submit a toxin that discourages any undergrowth. So when you walk through a forest and you see a beech tree, you'll see there's nothing underneath it. It's the beech tree and the canopy, and there's nothing underneath it. And so, and then everything else, it's older, it's patient, it just like waits for the other trees to die, and they sort of spreads out its canopy. And so it has its space. So a beech tree dies in a forest, it's leaving a enormous hole in an older forest, whereas another tree that's a little bit more up and down is going to kind of sort of fill in sort of the gap. The gap that beech trees that are in the forest are going to leave is going to be fairly significant. Not to add on a thing, but just you don't want to treat that. I mean, obviously it's expensive, but it is going to bring in forest canopy issues with sunlight coming in and non-native invasives and just overall health, where there's probably a higher likelihood where they are of it being a pretty healthy space when you have a whole bunch of beech trees, which is the unfortunate, part. Sorry.
To that point, are we thinking or planning stand replacement of certain species types I know you mentioned earlier, Joanne, invasives, but is there a way to deal with that?
So on a small scale, yes, my team engages in terrestrial restoration, natural resource restoration, ecological restoration, reforestation, and meadow restoration work. And we have a project in Pohick Stream Valley that I think I brought to you all a year ago or so for approval that we've initiated. And since we've started that project, as we look around, it becomes very apparent to us that it's surrounded by beech trees. So we're working on expanding the bounds of that, looking for additional funding sources so that we can start planting in that system to get another crop of trees up, with the anticipated effect that these beech trees are going to die, open up the canopy, and create more issues invasive plant wise for that. So, but that's just one example. We don't have a broad replanting strategy at this time for the scale that is being discussed here, unfortunately. So
The first time we're laying the breadcrumbs to make sure that they all sort of know, they're informing you first, and then we have to create a strategy of getting the BOS to understand the amount, where are the beech trees that we have. There's a complete difference between a forest health, having to deal with that for ourselves and our conservation ethos, and a beech tree next to a playground that's now a hazard tree if it goes down. And that, yes.
One of the things that it sounds like this is not we're going to go treat all the trees thing. I mean, it's clear that that's not a viable solution to go find every beech tree and deal with it. Several things just come to mind. One, every other property owner in the county is going to be going there. Another property owner,
What?
every other property owner in the county will be dealing with this. I would hope that we begin to think about informing them, helping educate them. And by that, I mean like all the big homeowners associations, and there's all these folks that will help us. As we inform the board of supervisors, that will help alert everybody and help the communities more fully understand what we're addressing and what the scope of impact could be and the potential for long-term funding issues, whether it's to try to replace by planting new or whatever. But it's a issue that we will face in our parks, but lots of folks, I mean, clearly there's a bunch of land behind my community that is all held by the community that, trees can't cut them down from when the community was built in 74. So I would hope that one, we'd coordinate with them, but two, this might also help come up with a master plan. A master plan is a term of art here, but I mean, a kind of a strategy,
Yes.
an overall, here's what we do. But I think informing and one of the asks of the board of supervisors should be their help through the district councils that exist to the homeowners associations and things like that, of beginning that process sooner rather than later.
So you mentioned these nematodes are from Japan. How do they deal with it? How do the Japanese deal with it? Or are those trees in Japan kind of built a resistance to it, or?
Yeah, it's typically whenever you trace back the invasive species back to where they're originally from, there are predators or control, natural controls that keep those populations in check. And so that's something that the U.S. Forest Service, the folks that we partner with, they have gone to Japan to try to see what are the natural predators there in Japan and if they would be viable here. It's just nothing. This is a very new pest, so it takes a lot of time to develop good management strategies for invasive species. And so we're still in the development stage and even still learning what this is. There aren't a lot of, so professional people who study worms are called nematologists. So there aren't that many out there. So this is something that's just still being looked into.
That's some interesting history with beech trees. It's kind of related to this. I know, for example, in the Colchester Park and Preserve, we went and killed a nice little, I don't want to imply nice, a significant bunch of beech trees. So, you know, a constituent pointed it out to me. And so I asked, you know, why'd you do that? And the answer was that they grow faster than the oaks and they kill the oaks, consistent with what Jay just said. So there's that thing, you know, about sometimes when there's other trees around, you want to get rid of the beech. I assume that's still a strategy for the oaks and this, you know, the survival of the oaks around. The other thing is we're talking about treating trees in a certain area where people were around and stuff like that. I would only say to absolutely make sure that you inspect the trees you're treating, because my experience with 3 different trees within 200 feet of my front door, with a V out like that, they look completely healthy, they're completely greened up, and all of a sudden half the V falls off. Unexpected, you know, healthy tree because they rot down in the center. So I guess what I'm saying, before we waste any money treating them, make sure we inspect them too.
Yes.
And could it possibly be a strategy that to try to deal with what Jay was talking about leaving a big hole in the forest, because they do, your description was right on. Maybe killing some selective ones around. So it's a gradual thing. So a whole grove doesn't go at once, you know, so it starts to other trees to fill in and stuff like that. Just thoughts,
No.
whole thing.
I think that part of the strategy here is almost an offering up. To your point, like, we'll treat as much as the county wants to fund, right? It's really kind of like bamboo. Is what do we have the appetite for? And then we create a strategy based on what we're talking about. Can we just, because we have, like I said, there's 2 different, you know, things. And the problem with this, you know, issue is the pointed with the ash trees. They're ash trees. They're great. They're fine. They're trees. They're great. They're not beech trees, right? There's a whole different like thing and a connotation with beech trees. And so there is going to be a visceral outcry, because even if you didn't think you liked trees and didn't know what a beech tree is, you know that character defining tree, and you're definitely going to know when it's gone. And people are really going to have an outcry when we start taking down healthy trees, because at some point it's going to be treated or taken down. There's not going to be a wait for it if it's over a playground or a trail or whatever it is. So
My only point was just because they look healthy.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Absolutely.
Tim?
I think I'll pass. Just had a quick question, and I might have missed this, but after treatment of the trees, is it just kind of delaying the eventual like death of the tree, or once treated, the time window where the tree is no longer susceptible to the nematodes?
So it depends on the treatment method. So the pilot treatment program our office is doing, it has been shown to be effective for up to 3 years. And so if you were to say hypothetically treat it and then never touch it again, it would, after those 3 years, it would become more susceptible to the pest. So
Got
that
it.
would require an ongoing maintenance. So we have that currently in my office with like ash trees, where there are certain, we have like almost 200 trees that we treat on a, and it had, each individual tree has its own maintenance cycle.
But as you keep going, the ecologists under your group, like you're gonna get more nuance and more knowledgeable come in too, once you get more data in about how long you can tweak it, maybe 2.5 years, or maybe it, some will go 4, like you'll know more as in 5, 6, 7 years when you read all your papers.
When you work through as you walk through the budget pieces of this that you were talking about, I think that you should also look at what are the for lack of a better way to put it, the replacement cost, the plant, because it's important to understand that from what we're describing, you can work really hard to try and save some number of these trees. You know that barring some massive change that I'm unaware of, a lot of them are going to die. And that over a given amount of time, some of them because of safety or whatever, but over time, they're going to die, they're going to fall and leave the holes that you're talking about. We're either going to let nature deal with those holes however it can, or have to plant. And as we're thinking through alternatives, we should go into this eyes open, budget wise, in terms of any conversation we have across the street, because this is not, this is something that it sounds like what we're saying, is that this is going to have the biggest hit from this will come unexpectedly if we're not careful, when most of the people sitting around this table right now are probably not sitting around this table.
It's 4 tracks we have to focus on. It's what we're talking about the treatment. We have to figure out how to treat. It's information. So it's data. I don't know that we know where all of our hazard beech trees are right now and which ones are like keeping track of all the stuff. It's maintenance of being able to take down trees or do all of that other stuff. And then it's the rubber, like what happens next? Like it's the replanting, the taking down the thing. So in those 4 things, we don't want to not talk about the 4th one because we're just scared of the conversation about trees coming down. We have to be talking about all 4 things almost as its own separate line item, budget line item.
Hopefully, I mean, there are obviously other states where this is all, it's hitting everybody. Are there other countries as well, or is it just, so, I mean, hopefully also that a lot of people are working on this problem and, we come up with better solutions as we go. So it's not just like cascade down from here to.
Yeah, no, so like I mentioned before, Rainbow Ecoscience and as well as Bartlett Tree Experts, they're both tree care companies and they're the ones that were leading the charge on treatment, research and development. They mostly work on the landscape level, not in the forest setting. But John and I have, well, as I've shared the information with John about a researcher with Bartlett Tree Experts, can't talk, who's looking into research on how to treat this pest in a forest setting. And so they're doing research currently in the Northeast and he's looking to see if there's any opportunities to also do it here in Fairfax County.
Are there areas that are ahead of us in terms of like, I mean, the impacts are worse and could it be that their treatment tools are ahead of us?
So to give a little bit of perspective, here, I find Fairfax County to be like a unicorn. We have a very good natural resource team that works on invasive plants that is uncomparable to a lot of the country and even amongst like state and federal agencies, I would say. And my office too is unusual in terms of local government. So I feel like we are exceptional, so not to toot my own horn or our horn, but we are exceptional in the resources and the staffing that we've allocated to these type of issues. So like, for example, tomorrow I have staff that's presenting to the Virginia Department of Agriculture because they want to hear what Fairfax County is doing about beech leaf disease.
What you were mentioning that it's one of the top, I think you said 3 trees or 4 trees in the county. Do we know what percentage it is in the parks?
In parks, I can't speak to, but county, based on, and it's a study called iTree Eco, where we did like over 200 study plots around the county. It's estimated to be in the range of 6 to 9% of the trees found in the county. So by comparison, that same study at one point, before Emerald Ash Borer was an issue, said that we had 1 to 2% canopy of ash in the county.
In terms of, you were saying that there are a lot of other species that rely on this tree.
Yes.
And I think part of the planning also has to be to think about what the impacts are going to be on those things. And I mean, there's a cascade of impacts, right, from the tree on down through the ecosystem.
Yeah.
You said that there were certain trees that are able to plant around the tree. So there's certain trees that survive the beach, being under a beech tree. Like they're not susceptible to you're saying
Yeah.
it's out some sort of.
Yeah, so there are, so beech leaf disease only infests beech trees. So that would be primarily the American beech tree. And then there in the landscape level, people have planted European beech, which is also susceptible. So like our oaks and maples and hickories and other tree species are
Someone
not.
just say that the oaks,
Yeah.
you can't plant oaks under a beech tree because it won't survive,
Yeah.
right?
So you can't pre-plant. If you're asking, can you pre-plant trees and wait for the beech tree to go? That's not usually, you guys talk, that's not.
So that there isn't, because there's some sort of poison that's coming out of the beech tree. Is that the reason why you can't? John, didn't you say that in some areas we are actually able to go in and plant some things under?
Yeah, so like there's like allelopathic tendency in beech trees where they will, can push out other plants from growing, but we've had some success getting oaks to grow. And the POHIC project that we're looking at, that would be the goal there, would be we still need to clarify it and come up with a game plan, but we're looking at the area as possibly dropping some beech trees ahead of time to open up the canopy and get a higher population of oaks established, seedlings, so that we have better odds once those other trees go. When we open up that canopy, that they'll be able to take advantage of it.
So the allelopathic effect ends once the beech tree once the beech tree is dead.
I don't know to the degree.
I was about to say, I don't know either. I don't know how long it takes.
To
I assume that you all have done this, but this seems like a natural thing to lean on the tree commission to try to be advocates for whatever the solution is, because they exist to try and advise the board of supervisors about the tree canopy and stuff.
So I know that many of them are aware, and my director would like me to give the same talk to them next winter. Soon.
And I know we have somebody on, I know the park. It just seems to me that this is like tree canopy and stuff is their top focus, and
John's our staff.
No, not anymore. No, I have a replacement lined up, but.
so it would just seem to me that both educate, but also train them into advocates for whatever the solution is going to be, will be the word out.
what about the tree community of practice? Like have they been? 'Cause that's under you guys.
Yes. So I did present to the community of practice. Sorry, the months run together. I think it was last fall. I gave a presentation to the community of practice, and part of the issue with beech leaf disease is just it's a very unknown. So like, for example, if I typed in the letters SLF into Google, it's all sorts of stuff about spotted lanternfly and whatever. But if I still Google to this day BLD, it's like the whatever, anything the business leaders of development or whatever, it's anything but beech leaf disease. So it's just it's not known. So I think outreach is a very important component, like many of you stated earlier.
And Jay, is this like being factored into the strategic planning that we have that
We have been briefed on this about 4 days before you have, so this is new for absolutely everybody.
Added to the strategic planning?
I think that right now,
It's
yes, it's trying to start with you guys, try to figure out how we're getting it out. They have to get it out to other people, sort of spreading in general to come up with a strategy.
I think the timing, I don't know if any of you guys are tracking the Virginia state legislation that's actually on Span's desk right now with regard to adding invasive plants to the sources that in the county can raise funds around. So that's, I mean, if that goes through, it will give Fairfax County the ability to specifically raise funds. I mean, there's a whole list of things that can raise funds for, but invasives management is not one of them. So we'll change things a bit. Hopefully it's just in time. Anyone else have any other questions? Then we thank you guys. We adjourn the natural resources.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
On it. Faisal is in the waiting room, so we're gonna read him in. Faisal Khan, are you connected to this meeting remotely?
Yes, I'm a resident in Providence District.
I move that Faisal Khan's voice may be adequately heard in this location. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. You look at the Park Authority's policy 111, so remote participation in public meetings. I mean, that Faisal Khan be participating mostly in the treaty as it supports with the policy we adopted, and a physical quorum is present here at the Heritage Building, Park Authority.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Welcome, Faisal. We now move to planning and development. Linwood, it's your,
This is Linwood Gorm. I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee to order. So turn it right over to Kim. to talk about.
Yeah.
Sort of. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name's Kim Eckert. I'm the Division Director for Park Operations. Tonight, I'll be presenting on our deferred maintenance recommendation, or more broadly, the Deferred Capital Renovations ROC. This is the next ROC in the series, following the last meeting's topics of whole park investment and new construction. This presentation will walk through the steps and the process that led to our recommendation of $51 million to address deferred capital renovations. We're recommending that $37 million be allocated to deferred maintenance of park amenities, and the remaining $14 million be allocated across various unique projects in resource management, golf, and support facilities. All right, this slide might look familiar to you. We thought we'd start with this graphic just as a reminder that maintaining parks continues to appear at the top of the list in the minds of community members. In fact, in the 2026 needs assessment, respondents indicated that if they had a budget of $100 for parks, they would spend a full $32 on repairs and maintenance. Condition assessments and community input are big drivers for determining our deferred maintenance priorities.
Hold on, could you go back? Did you get?
Get it?
Did you get it? I got it. Okay. Let's back up. Let's back up if you want.
I think I got it.
We do that. Okay, keep going. No, he wanted the slide. Keep going. You can go back. Yeah.
Next,
She's just.
next slide. Sorry.
Wait,
You have to like
I see that.
hop
It's
on one
okay.
foot. Yeah. Spin in circles. All right. So the process for determining the amounts we allocated toward deferred capital renovations. So this slide outlines the steps in our process for determining where to allocate the $51 million. I will briefly run through the steps here, and we'll walk through each specific step in the slides that follow. So as outlined in this slide, we have 5 steps that we went through to determine our deferred capital renovations recommendations. Step 1, we conducted a condition assessment of assets. Step 2, we determined the cost to repair all assets with a D or F condition rating, and that's an estimated cost. We don't have an actual cost yet. Step 3, we reviewed the percentage of assets in D or F condition. Step 4, we allocated funding to address the needs of the unique assets in RMI, golf, and support facilities. And last step, we distributed allocated funding across asset categories proportionate to the need. In this step, we also ensured distribution covered all the F-rated assets plus any unique assets. All right, so on to step 1. Assets are rated on a scale of A through F, but we wanted to give you a little more detail on how we define those ratings. This slide provides a definition for each rating so you can see what we're looking at when we go out and assess the condition of a particular asset. For the purposes of today's presentation, we're focusing on the Ds and the Fs. D is poor condition, F is failed. This is just to show you what a D or F condition looks like as compared to an A-rated asset. So on the left, you have some courts, in the middle, of course, fields, and then on the right, you have trails. The tops are A's, and then we have an F there on the bottom and 2 D's. Step 2, this table shows the estimated costs if we were to repair all assets that have D or F ratings. As you can see, the total price tag of almost $73 million exceeds the funds we anticipate will be available. Because of this gap, we pared this list down further, as you'll see in the next steps. Okay, got it.
You're killing me.
All right, here we've simply appended the tables seen on the previous slide by adding a column to show the percentage of the inventory in D or F condition for each category. Although we can't change the fact that 36% of the playground inventory has a D or F rating, we can pare that number down by strategically targeting the allocated funds in a manner that takes care of all the Fs and some of the Ds. Something to point out is that there's wide variation in the number of assets within each category. For example, there are 211 athletic courts, whereas in the amusements category, there are only 6 assets. So although the percentage of amusements that are rated D or F is 67%, that's actually a small number of assets, and in this case, just a few carousels. So it's really a matter of scale. This slide is just to give you some examples of projects that could potentially be addressed by distributing 37 million of the deferred capital renovations funding to park amenities. Here we've provided an example of each category. On to step 4. Here we give you some examples of those unique projects that could potentially be addressed through the 14 million portion of the deferred capital renovations distribution. So on your left, you have the Huntley Meadow Boardwalk replacement. We had just actually gotten an assessment from an engineering firm that recommended some improvements for access, recommended some replacements in sections, and then some refurbishing in other sections. On your top right, you have Greendale Golf Course drainage. We have some significant issues with drainage over at Greendale Golf Course on various holes. Certainly as a golfer, I know it's very exciting to hit a line drive down the fairway, except for when you get there and you still can't find your ball because it's plugged in a saturated fairway. So definitely don't want to be that golf course known for ground under repair. All right. And then your last picture there on your bottom right is our facility maintenance campus there at Area 4 in Berkeley Park. So we have 2 maintenance buildings on that campus. Both are in poor condition and don't serve the actual operation anymore. They're very old and deteriorating. And actually, that's where the beach
Renovated
are.
or replaced?
Excuse me?
The idea of those would be renovated or replaced?
This one would be, in my mind, I'll let Mohammed bring it, but would be a full demo. It's to the point where it's deconditioned, sort of running into F here soon. The other one may be more of a renovation. I guess it's just to look at the whole campus really, to see what we can do there. And then there's some equipment storage and things like that, bays, shops, things like that. All right, last step. Here we've added 2 additional columns to the table seen a few slides ago. Inside the red box, the middle column labeled percentage of allocation applied shows the percentage of the 37 million applied to each park amenity category. The amount we applied for each category is in proportion to the percentage of D or F assets in that category. So in other words, the higher the percentage of D and F ratings that an asset category has compared to the other categories, the higher the percentage of bond funding we recommend apply. This distribution strategy covers all F-rated assets, some of the Ds, plus any unique asset renovations. We included the RMI, golf, and support facilities portion in the table to show the full picture here. Playgrounds. Here we want to show you this sample list of playgrounds to illustrate the playground replacement backlog that we currently face. The playgrounds above the red line are those we recommend addressing through the deferred capital renovations distribution. As you can see, our anticipated deferred capital renovations funding won't be enough to address all D-rated playgrounds. This slide puts it all together for you by laying out the percentages for the recommended distribution of 51 million in deferred maintenance and capital renovations. We feel that this was a good approach, but we're certainly eager to get your feedback. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. On the rating of the playgrounds, is that something that like our area managers just kind of survey each year? Or how do we, obviously those pictures showed seriously deteriorated playgrounds, but do we consider like a cycle time, or is it like, oh, this thing got used to death?
It's their life cycle over 20 years, I think it is. We do regularly assess them as part of our park checks. But we also have, I think, Melissa from PDD who does condition assessments on them and prioritizes them based on their condition.
Is that kind of like a yearly thing or every couple?
Melissa, how often do you do that? Are you on?
It's probably every year to two, depending on how our funding has been working.
You clearly correctly identified gristmill. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm going to take the opportunity, just because everybody is in the room, that anyway, it's been brought to my attention that Mount Vernon Hospital is going to do away with their very comprehensive playground and do something else with the property it's on. Supervisor's office reached out to me and said, could we move that playground somewhere with the park authority? My answer to them is, my experience is generally that about half the cost of a playground is its construction. And about half is its thing. Is that something that we'd be interested in pursuing at all? We want to look at that playground, you know.
I think a lot of the cost is the site plan, the permitting.
Right.
I'll defer to Jay on.
It's, we have to look at it. It's a tough, they've been trying. All across the country, they've been trying to do a recycling of playgrounds. Like that's a thing that they try, and RPA tries to do all the time, and whatever is between so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Usually,
So anyway, it's been
Does it?
brought to your attention
Yeah.
that there's a playground that's going to get
yeah,
demolished
we can.
that I think is pretty underused. I haven't looked at it myself, but anybody else have any question? Mike?
Couple things. One, when you were doing this analysis, are you taking into account life site, like, and I'm gonna use an athletic field as an example, because it's what I know best, but I know courts and all these different things go through it. Let's say that if an athletic field may be a B right now in year 6 of a 10-year life cycle, 4 years from now, it could be an F because it's at the end of its life cycle, has issues. That puts us that puts us into this middle of this bond cycle. Are you taking into account the way some things will flow into like becoming Ds and Fs?
It's a great question. Do you know what the answer is for that? This is not the list of all of the playgrounds we're doing. That's why we're linking.
No,
this-
I'm not.
I know, but your question, I'm excited because that's the question, is linking directly to the work plan. This is the reason why we're doing this every year on a 2-year basis and not looking at the whole 6 year. This whole list could look completely different because if a hurricane came through when we're doing the work plan. For your point, the athletic fields, we can do it now, but in a year and a half, one athletic field could be completely, irrigation could have failed and their mold could have grown or whatever it is. And that could go from number 48 up to number 2, which is why we're doing it on a 2-year basis of the actual linking to the work plan.
But where life cycle could potentially impact this in a way other than just prioritization is the percentage of that asset that enters into a D or F. In other words, if
Yes.
you're gonna have 10 fields, and it'll probably be more than that just because it's a 10-ish year life cycle and there's close to 100 fields.
Yes.
We'll have a number of fields flow in. The percentage of fields that are hitting that D or F is going up. And therefore the allocation between your categories may change. And that could be true with playgrounds or any number of, I'm trying to understand if
Yes.
that's been taken into
And
account.
and that refers back to the flexibility that we have now with not using the percentages. So if we said at some point in time, let's say we do the FY 28 work year or work on the FY 28 work plan. You can say, hey, Kim, how we doing with what we were before in the percentages? Could you come back and show us where, because we might want to tweak those amounts within that 51 million a little bit because we just had, or Kim might say, Jay, we just had 17 fields go down. And that puts this many in the DNF. So now we're over, let's go back with the percentages and say, hey, we want to tweak them a little bit and do more of a percentage of that 51 million.
So the percentage, so,
Yeah.
so the rocks,
Yeah.
those percentages were committed to.
That's what you guys are deciding now.
Right.
Yes,
But
yes,
we're
correct.
committed to that when we come out the end of the bond cycle.
You know, you're committed to that right now. You can always change the rocks. We can come back 2 years later and say,
So,
hey,
so the category,
Flexible language.
yes.
so the categories within it, we're not even committed to, which before we were. So we have maximum flexibility across all the bond dollars.
You have maximum flexibility, but we need some sort of a direct, right, yes.
I'm just trying to,
100%, yes,
so if something were to happen,
100%.
we
That's
can move the
fine.
money wherever we need
Yep.
to, however we need to.
Yep.
Okay, couple years ago, I'm saying a couple years ago, my brain fog into COVID, I'm gonna, we went through presentations where you all came forward with different parts of the park and how old and renovate, the amount of renovation. It was the really big number that we came to, the overall.
Tucson, yeah.
I was gonna say 218 or
Yeah.
something. Is there a process we go through to update that, make it current on some X basis?
We typically have been doing condition. This is our first comprehensive overall. We're assessing everything at the same time. We've
Right.
never done that before. We did that through this process.
Okay, because I just remember,
Typically have picked a couple of assets that we assess each year. So I anticipate moving forward, we would get on a cycle that we're assessing all assets every 2 years.
on some regular basis that would help us then, okay.
Yes.
And then probably the comment that Jay wants me not to bring up and not to say out loud, but if Bill were here, Bill would probably be like, go boy, go. Cub Run. Is that?
See, I was on live, but no, you're 100% on point with that.
You had in the list, Cub Run was on the list. And yet we're in a situation where that would mean we're possibly spending money on a playground we may not have. And so I'm just, that to me would affect its prioritization. Did that affect you? Is that worked into the?
Before we make any decision for Cub Run and other places that we really have to have a conversation about, we will back that up significantly
Okay.
and have a full, it is completely top of mind and have a conversation, because part of that is making public and apparent what those decisions are. This is not a 14-year decision. This is a now decision, because there's stuff in the rec center that we need to be doing. And so this body has to decide whether or not it wants to invest or whatever. So we will back that up. Yes.
I heard 20-year life cycle on a playground. If we put a new playground in 3 year, so I just wanted to understand that. All right, thank you.
Referencing Cub Run Stream Valley?
How was that?
Yeah, that is Cub Run Street.
Yeah, but
It's
you.
not the Cub Run rec
Well,
center.
but I was trying to understand if it's the same piece of property.
No, I don't think it's the same.
No.
Okay,
That we owned.
That's what I was trying to
That we-
understand, if it was the same piece of property.
But a good point for a future discussion.
Oh, I understand the other, I just.
Kim, I think I get the percentages, but I'm just wondering, do we have data or was it built in with some of this data about the popularity of use? Like, do we have
Like utilization?
It's like, so I know a lot of people use trails, right? So does that help with that percentage for trail allocation based on?
I mean, we didn't do too much of that here. We can tell the utilization based on the condition sometimes. So when you speak of an athletic field, the usage really drives to what the life cycle is. So if it's highly used, and we don't have investment to renovate those fields, then it becomes a net much quicker. I don't know if that answered your question.
The one thing that we look at too with utilization is sometimes they're not being used because they're in such poor condition. And that is the case with a lot of the athletic
Yeah,
fields.
I think I'm not thinking about a site per se that would be, if there's only 10 people using this, but sort of the categories of like, trail, playground, that kind of thing, just
You'll-
thinking about our constituents.
You'll see in the infrastructure line item, the percentage is a little bit lower because that includes parking lots. And so the percentage is lower because, community really doesn't care that much about how the parking lot looks. They want the potholes fixed and that sort of thing. So we allocated more funding to other projects that the community can see and.
Safe swing, holes in a parking lot, got it.
But they do complain if the parking spots aren't wide enough.
That's true.
I do. So just following up on Mike's point, in the cases where we have something that has not seen a lot of use, and that's why, it's in bad shape now, but it also hasn't seen a lot of use. So it's been hanging around for a long time. Can we take a look at it and analyze if there would be another use that would be more utilized? And maybe that thing could be lower maintenance.
100%. part of this exercise.
Okay.
That was part of this.
Okay. So
But
whatever
not
we
the
noted all of
That
those,
shouldn't have been there in the first place. Right,
Right.
you know, it shouldn't be there, you know, a playground keeps getting washed out because it's 4 feet from the stream. And we're not gonna replace it exactly, that doesn't need to go, which brings up the whole, do we need a playground there? Or, and that brings up Torsia's playground study, or can we build a bigger playground someplace better, or whatever it is, that's 100%, but don't be scared, we're not gonna just take them offline, but yes.
And then I mean, I noticed, so like, and I'm sorry, I may have just missed this, but is the overall take that we just don't have the funds to do the type of maintenance that we need to do? I mean, is that the overall? And I know that partly we're trying to figure out.
Ongoing operating, yes, to invest to keep them in good condition would be part of that. I think a good indicator, if I can get back there, would be these explanations here. So you see when you go down to Ds and Fs, it takes more regular maintenance to keep those active, to keep those in the best condition we can. So, I mean, in terms of regular maintenance, obviously there's a lot less regular maintenance to something that's brand new, but when it becomes older in a D and F condition, it takes a lot more maintenance. But generally, no, I mean, we don't have the maintenance money we need. You know, we're at status quo.
I mean, and that seems to be like a story that we hear, whether we're talking about these facilities or rec centers or natural resource. I mean, that's just like the story across the board. I'm just curious, you guys have been meeting with supervisors. Do you feel like that situation is going to continue to exist? You look scared about my question. That situation is going to continue to exist, like there's not an appetite for, because I guess where I'm driving to is, do we need to start a planning process around making the whole system cheaper to maintain?
So I think that we're making a lot of headway in terms of them understanding. We're in a really it's just a bad time. If the county funding profits were increasing by like $1 billion and we were getting like $2 and whatever it is, then it'd be like, you know, but considering the financial situation that the county is in right now, we are making headway, moving at least in the direction that we're going. They understand our maintenance issue. They understand now, which took time. They understand now that not that they thought that Kim was the enemy, but you know, it's like I guess we didn't really care about, you know, understanding and defining the issue, and that it's not necessarily an issue that one of them sort of created, and how we're doing it and maintaining it. And also linking it to, if we want, then this is how much it's going to cost, and not in a nefarious way, has really been working. And I think that this new strategy of them really knowing all of their stuff allows a very quick, not quickish, because I know it's hard work, but you know, if we wanted to do all the DNF playgrounds, you can say, we want to do, how much would it cost? And I can tell you rough estimate how much it would cost to handle all of the DNF playgrounds. So that's not because we haven't designed them. And so when they say, well, why is my, you know, this one's going to take this long? That's why we don't have enough to do the DNF. Do DNF playgrounds. You want us to do that, then that's fine. We either take something off, we're not doing fields, or we're not doing whatever, or we increase the funding. Those are really the options, and not in a contentious way. It is what it is. This is the data. This is what we have and the resources that we have to do. We have to make, you know, hard choices. So I think that we're going in the direction everybody's asked questions about.
Right, and I think,
You don't have to like pull the fire alarm or anything like that, like we.
second to what Jay said, Brian Hill has also given us, the county executive has also given us a great foundation from which to deliver our message. In that he said we need to focus on maintaining what we have, you know, and investing in what we have. And we have built on that message with the supervisors, and in terms of everything, you know, across the board, centers, would there be an opportunity for shifting to a different bonds, for out of cycle bonds, for increased cash flow, you name it. We have been pulling all those levers, and we're beginning to get some traction there. So the answer is yes. We're aware of the issue, they're aware of the issue, and we're trying to find innovative and thoughtful ways to try to address it, and in a tight environment.
And linking in the operating budget impact that we've been doing about the OBI related to new parks, I think that educating also about the sort of the how, so Schoolhouse Rock, how it becomes a law, because again, not nefarious. I think that they assume that every new park that we have, that we cut a ribbon on was Jay or Sarah, whoever's brainchild, and then we funded it and we make them have to pay for it. When the reality, like 75% of them are given to us, either through proffers, development proffers, or BOS things, or the supervisors or whatever. So really understanding that we are not all the time saying we want to create a new park. We are focused on taking care of what we have, doing this and having to separate out. So that when we then ask for more money for playgrounds, or we ask for more money, like a mid-cycle bond or whatever it is, we have already said we are prioritizing this as well. Help us we're not just building new stuff and then not taking care of the old stuff.
So the proffers are never things like money for maintenance.
No, however, not maintenance in terms of like everyday going out, but it can be used for like deferred capital replacement. So you could use proffers to replace, right?
As long as it expands the capacity.
Yes.
Like you had something.
I just we kind of quickly moved on, but back to Joe's point real quick, is there's nothing wrong with us talking about the gap that we have, right, as well. So, for example, there's $20 million gap just in the DNFs. I think that as board members, we need to be making those points as much as we can there's a conversation.
Which I think is the benefit of the presentation that we made before, that it sounds like you guys are now going to be doing more comprehensive update that I don't know what that document is called or whatever, but that document of here's all the assets we have. Here's their condition and the cost to get them to where they should be. That, if we're doing it every 2 years, however often it is, that should be, I would think, some kind of formal report and a nice thing that then can be used to give to the supervisors, that the public can understand this constant miracle. Because I think, I don't think we're in a position where the county's going to be, I think the county anticipates ongoing financial constriction or constraints more than they might have thought were going to be there 15 years ago or whatever. Two, I think in the past, lots of things were built with this assumption, well, they'll figure it out. They'll figure out how to replace it, how to fix it, what are they to do later. We don't have to worry about that now. And, things will just keep growing and getting bigger. Jay and I have talked about the fact that, I truly appreciate the board of supervisors, what they do, the time they invest, everything else. They don't want to come to a ribbon cutting of the newly renovated water pipes that we're taking care of at a rec center.
Should have been.
Those they've always wanted to come to the new fangled, fancy, pretty thing, not the, oh wow, we took care of the parking lots and the roads around Burke Lake. Those weren't the, let's go cut a ribbon and we got rid of the puddle. But we have to spend a lot of energy, effort, and time on those things.
Well, maybe we should. Maybe you guys, I'm just, Adria's like, maybe you guys do that. Maybe we have I just give her a whole job. Maybe if they're not gonna come, maybe we have you guys stand and cut a ribbon when we replace the engineered wood fiber. I'm not even playing. Like, let's do that to like really be talking about.
I think actually there could be like a campaign around it. Like if it was made interesting, because right now it's not that interesting, but if it were like a, taking care of what we have campaign.
It's interesting. It's totally interesting.
That's all we talk about.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of that stuff that isn't as sexy as new stuff, and we have to figure out how to make that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I call this subject closed. I'd like to thank him very much for your presentation. I found it very comprehensive and easy to understand. It's an excellent presentation. With that said, I think, Sarah, you're up to talk about Audrey Moore, right?
A couple of folks joining me. I'll just kick it off while we're bringing up the presentation. We're excited tonight to bring the initial concept for Audrey Moore Rec Center renovation. Coming off the successful renovation of Mount Vernon Rec Center, we're diving right into Audrey Moore, and we'll walk through concept this evening.
Now I know why Stans is here.
Weird.
Now I know why Stans is here.
Weird.
Okay.
Is that the first slide?
It is a first slide. Yeah, you can go to the next one. So for those of you who may have not have visited Audrey Moore, we just want to give a little background on the facility. The facility is nearly 50 years old. It's located off of Braddock Road, so it's one of our more centrally located rec centers within the system. It's about 76,000 square feet. It has one of our 50-meter pools, locker room, sauna, 6 multi-purpose rooms, a fitness center, a senior center. So this is very unique compared to the other rec centers within our system. NCS does have a senior center within the walls of the rec center, a gymnasium, a full-size gym, pottery lab. Right now, we're leasing some space within the facility to Inova for physical therapy. There are 4 racquetball courts, and we have one, what was a previous racquetball court that has been repurposed into a TRX fitness studio. So, wanted to go over the goals of the project before we get into the concepts. And the goals for the project are based off of the community survey that was done for Audrey Moore back in 2021. It's based off of the rec center sustainability study that was presented to the board in about 2019. It's based off the ongoing customer feedback we get from our customers who use all of our rec centers. And it's a review of the utilization of the space within the existing facilities and utilization of the spaces throughout our rec center system. So the first goal of the project is to provide a state-of-the-art accessible rec center. For those who have walked into Audrey Moore recently, state-of-the-art is probably not a concept that you think of, word that you use to describe the facility. We also have a goal to expand and enhance our fitness center. Fitness is booming. We have our largest number of pass holders that we've ever had in the rec center system today. If you go to Audrey Moore on any given day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, their fitness center is completely packed, overpacked probably, with the number of users using that. And also, of course, it's a wellness opportunity for the community that we want to promote. We also have a goal to provide a unique aquatics experience. This facility, Mohammed will share with you the concept. The concept includes a warm water pool. One of the biggest complaints that we get from our rec center users is the temperature of the water. We know when people are complaining on both sides that we're doing things right. So we try to keep the temperature at a point where it's good for those who are competitive swimmers, as well as seniors who are taking aquatics classes, children that are taking Learn to Swim. And sometimes that can be a challenge for us in terms of operations. And so the warm water pool, which Mohammed will talk a little bit more about in the presentation, tries to address those issues, as well as providing a unique aquatics experience. A warm water pool also is appealing to entities that would like to have competitions, so they have a space for their swimmers to warm up. Increased program space is another goal of the project. As you know, our camps, our classes are the backbone of what we do, are one of our strongest lines of business. So being able to expand our programming is always a goal that we have within our facility renovations. And then maximum flexibility and use of space. We looked at this to make sure that the spaces that we have within the rec center are not sitting idle, and we're utilizing the space to its maximum. Today, we have spaces that are for one specific use that are sitting idle for 80% of the time. That's something that we want to correct in the renovation so that we are fully maximizing the space, that it's dual multi-use spaces that can be used for a variety of recreational needs. Mohammed is gonna go into the current condition of the facility.
So we did brought this in front of the board before, 2024 meeting, board meeting, but as Sarah mentioned, this is a 50-year-old building, and as you might expect, most of the system are either failing or obsolete. And that includes, but not limited to, the electrical switch gear, the filtering system, the pool units, and so on. Next slide. We also have to deal with a lot of structural issues, one of which we just had to deal with last summer, and that's at the natatorium space. And it did require some extensive repair. And just to for a note here, this is only issues that we can see with our bare eyes. If we do more in-depth inspections or intrusive inspections, we're probably going to come up with a lot of issues. That's what you see here. But that's in a nutshell with other issues that the Audrey Moore building is dealing with. But
okay, so from a project funding standpoint, we've gone through this previously. Audrey Moore's the one project that we've talked about in the context of the 26 bond prior to the presentations you've gotten from the last several board meetings. But initially the project was budgeted 85 million. We come to the Park Authority board well over a year ago with the overall construction increases that we've experienced, the project being pushed back and what that's done to the overall funding needs, and the concept of moving away from a renovation into a full tear down based off the Mount Vernon experience and what was done with that project. The board approved moving up to $110 million for the budget for Audrey Moore. That budget is locked, so we've been working strongly off that budget, that there's no additional capacity anywhere as construction increases continue. You know, a challenge to stay even within that budget that we look at, and we know that'll be a continued challenge with rec centers in the future when we talk about construction increases. The funding comes from multiple sources, so from previous bond dollars in the 2016 and the 2020 programs, pending approval of the 26 bond, where the bulk of the funding is coming from, as well as some money from NCS when we talk about the senior center portion that they'd be contributing towards, in the CIP assistance dollars that the county has given, typically from a cash flow standpoint, but helping to make up a portion of that budget. So overall, you know, the budget being locked at 110 million, and that's what we've been working off of for the last year plus in terms of the concepts that you'll see later today. Slide. Quickly, just as some background on the current audience profile of Audrey Moore. In the previous fiscal year, we had 48,000 distinct visitors, so a heavily visited site. You can see some of the general household incomes, but basically 70% of the visitors are coming within 5 miles of the facility. This is typical of a rec center, that's our general audience within 5 miles of the rec center. You can see, and as we talk long-term about the revenue fund equity challenges and what we want to look at there, this chart's a good example as you look at the household income of who the typical users are of the facility today. And another reason for that initiative and focus that we have for the revenue fund. Next slide, please. We look at visitation data. Audrey Moore is the 4th most visited rec center in the system. So hovering just over 330,000 visitors annually. We are open 364 days a year, about 16 plus hours per day. So when you talk about the wear and tear on some of the slides that Mohammed showed, when you talk about a 40, 50-year-old building and the impact, we're running 364 days a year out there. So next slide, please. Again, in terms of our current operation, programming is our bread and butter, as Sarah was talking about. The program audience is largely youth participants. So 70% of our program audience is 3 to 5, 6 to 12 in that bracket. Most of that popularity is tied up in our camp program, extremely popular, and aquatics, learn to swim programs, as well as sports. So we offered over 2,600 programs previous fiscal year. And with the 111 camps, we had almost 3,000 campers that were served. That is a core big program that we've served the area for the last number of years. It's continued to grow over the years. And as you look at, again, the concepts, that's when we talk about the flexible programming. What are the spaces that we can continue to provide that can meet those kind of programming needs in the future? When we look at the membership base, this is another significant piece. And when we talk about the fitness and aquatic elements in particular, we've got 2,200 active members at Audrey Moore. This has been growing consistently in line with all of our rec centers. It's sometimes astounding to us that it's growing with the shape that the facility is in. But to Sarah's point, every machine is taken, every lap lane is filled. And so it is, doing very well despite the conditions of the building, which I think is a testament to the staff and the experience that we're able to offer to members, even with the building and the shape it's in. And annual memberships are by far the most popular option for us. People do enjoy using the facility, but meeting the needs of that membership base as we look to the future is a core part of the concepts of the
Josh, we have half our membership or more, 50 and older. And our programs, though, for that group are only 17% of our total offerings. Is that because they really aren't interested in an expansion of the programs? For the most part, they're happy with what they're doing, or?
So I'd say yes for some of that. I think there's a senior center that's also serving a population of seniors. That data is not in our data. It's not a program that we are offering. And so some of the programming would be offered and handled by the senior center side. It's also, I think, a testament to the expansion of the camp program that has just dominated, and the Learn to Swim program, the size of that, they're just much bigger than any other programming we have. So even with decent senior programming, it's still dwarfed by the camp and the aquatics.
Is the percentage active members by age or skew older at this rec center compared to other rec centers?
It does a little bit. Historically, this is more in line with what you'd see our membership base. Over the last 5 years, we've skewed younger as we have expanded things like fitness rooms and facilities like Spring Hill, like Oakmont, Mount Vernon opening. We've seen the membership base shift to be a little younger overall. This facility does still have an older member base compared to the rest of the rec center system. Slide, please. So we've talked about some of these when we talk about the kind of overall program goals or project goals. But operationally, the facility does currently present a number of challenges. We've talked about some of them before. It is a undersized fitness center. This is something that we've been addressing with every rec center renovation and the need to expand those spaces. Also to look at separate spaces. There's different types of fitness activity that's going to occur in those fitness centers. How can we build spaces that are going to work for the different types of activity that happens? We've got popular programs that are at 100% filled and waitlisted at all times. So how can we expand program spaces? For those who have walked in there, the visitor traffic flow and the bottlenecks in the building and the staircases and navigating that building is a challenge, particularly when it's busy. That obviously we've got ADA compliance issues with that. And again, the tight hallways and spaces for people to navigate. Sarah talked about the ongoing challenges with pool water temperature. That is a real challenge across the system. And so this concept, I think, is the way that a lot of large scale recreation centers are trending of we need to recognize that there are different temperature needs for different audiences and addressing that. And one of the big ones that I don't want to sleep on, one family changing room, which is insanely limited for today's day and age and an area that we really need to expand everywhere. And again, every time we look at a renovation, we know we need more family changing spaces to accommodate that need. You can see some of the fun comments people gave us in different surveys here, particularly the bold tear it down. So.
All right, to the exciting stuff, I guess, the project scope. So back in 2021, FCPA in coordination with DPW and the supervisor's office conducted a survey to the community, and that had a good turnaround. We received about 3,000 responses. In general, the summary of those responses is our people want more modernized spaces, more modernized equipment, more accessibility and family-friendly spaces, a spa or hot tub, or a view from the fitness center to the outside. So based on that, we kind of focused when we put the scope together on those bullet points. And I believe with the schematic designs that I'll be sharing with you shortly, we can address most, if not all, of those requests. But in general, the concept is about a state-of-the-art facility, again, expanded fitness area, more programming spaces, a new warm water pool, as we mentioned, for the reasons it has been mentioned earlier, Olympic-sized competition pool, childcare, and we are targeting a minimum of LEED silver design for the building, as well as an expanded senior center. Slide. So this is the site plan. And as you can see here, the focus was in enhancing, or we enhanced tremendously the accessibility throughout the site. And that starts with the parking lot, where we provide more ADA parking spaces. Next slide. And with the red dash line here, it shows the accessible path from the parking area to the main entrance, as well as to the side and the back of the building, with more accessible path to other amenities at the exterior of the building. And that will be provided through a set of accessible ramps throughout the site. This is the overview of the upper level. And as you can see here, the gym and the pool area will have a high ceiling. So the Patriots will have a nice view from the upper floor to both these features, either through the glazing that separates the gym from the lobby, or through the bleacher, the green section at the bottom that overlook the pool below. Next slide. And zooming in into the upper floor. So again, coming in through the accessible entry, there is a double sliding door vestibule. And once you enter through that, you will be met with a welcome lobby with a nice reception area there. Assuming that you're walking down the lobby, to your right will be the glazing wall that overlook the gym. And then in front of you, you will see a monumental open stair that will take you to the lower level. Now, I'll be going clockwise from the open office area. The light orange space, that will be the staff office. That will include multiple office spaces, conference room, and a telecom room. At the corner of that is the elevator that will provide the accessible access to the lower floor. Again, continuing clockwise is the senior center and the pink shade, and that include a multipurpose space, lounge, a couple of offices, and a meal prep kitchen area. Next to it, to the corner, the light blue area is a spacious fitness center, and that room, that space will include multiple exercise equipment, stretching area, and next to the senior center is another open stair that will take you straight to the lower fitness area. Across from the fitness area, the purple space at the corner is the childcare, and that will have its own dedicated fully accessible restroom. And across from it is the dance room. Now, it is labeled a dance room or multiple dance rooms there, but that can be used for any other purpose. So it will be multi-programmable. And it can be used either as a one large space or two or three separate rooms through the movable partitions. Continuing clockwise, next to it is the men's and women's restrooms. And in between, it will be a fully accessible unisex restroom. And last but not least is the green area at the bottom of the screen, and that will be the bleacher area overlooking the Olympic-sized competition pool. Slide. So this is the overall view of the lower level. Next slide, zooming in into the non-pool area. Slide, please. So starting from the top right corner at the fitness area, the blue shade spaces, again, is the lower level fitness. And as you can see in the middle is the open stair that connects the upper and lower level fitness. Again, more space for exercise equipment, but mostly it'll be for free weight and cardio. And next to it, to the left, is group fitness that can be used for as a spin room or any other group fitness program. One of the requests that we got from the staff is they need more storage, so that's why you will see multiple storage area all over the floor plan. One of them is next to the group fitness storage. And at the corner of that is another women and men restroom or gang restrooms with plenty of restroom fixtures, as well as another unisex fully accessible restroom. And across from there is the elevator, again, taking you up and down the levels for accessible access, and the monumental stair, open stair that we saw at the lobby area and getting you down here next to the elevator. The yellow area is the gym, and that will be equipped with movable bleachers or collapsible bleachers. Again, more storage room for the equipment. Moving on to the purple space, that is the locker room. And what you can see there is the men's and women's locker room. In between is the family shower rooms. And as Josh mentioned, the current one has only one, and we're providing 5 here. Again, you're getting more here. And by saying that, I'll quote one of my colleagues, I believe it was Nigel or Deidre, you're getting more with more. The second more has double O in it. The family shower rooms will have its own dedicated path for access to the pool deck, so you don't have to go through either locker rooms to get into the pool area. Right. The natatorium space will be comprised of, as we mentioned, a Olympic-sized competition pool that will include about 10 swimming lanes and 4 diving boards and 3-meter diving boards, as well as 2 bulkheads. Those bulkheads will be rated also to be able to sustain equipment, maintenance equipment, whenever we need to deal with some maintenance at the roof section of the pool. And across from the competition pool is the warm water pool that has 2 sections. The first section is the kids area with some water features, and the other section is the warm water pool that can be used for laps or exercise for seniors or even kids and other age levels. Both pools will have a fully accessible ADA ramp, which is a nice feature. The one for the Olympic-sized competition pool will provide fully accessible access to the swim laps, and then the warm water pool will have a 0 depth entry, and that will be connected through another ramp between the kids section and the warm water pool. And sauna at the pool deck, we're gonna have a sauna. And as was requested by the community, a spa or hot tub space. Across from there, outside the natatorium, is another club room spaces. And again, those club rooms can be used for different programs and can be used either separately or combined for parties and whatnot. And what else do we have here? And of course, the filter and the pump room that will serve the team. Next slide. So the following slides will show you the 3D rendering of the exterior elevation. Now, the goal of the exterior design is to strengthen the indoor-outdoor connection. through the use of a combination of colored glazing and metal panels and perforated metal panel, all under a wood clad roof. Next slide. And this is a zoomed in view of the entrance. And again, from here, you can see the connection from the indoor to the outdoor through the colored glazing. It will also have some sort of artwork that will reference to the recreational activities taking place inside the facility. Slide. This is a view of the back of the building, looking at the gym. Now, the outside program areas are still under consideration and will be subject to the public inputs that we'll discuss in a different slide. Next slide. And this is the other or the last side where from the exterior looking into the pool area. Slide.
So given that Audrey Moore houses our only pottery studio in the Park Authority system, our recommendation, it's a very popular program. We know that we can expand it. Our recommendation is to relocate the pottery building to a standalone repurposed facility at either Mason District Park or Wakefield Park. So part of the community engagement that we'll do will be to get their feedback on the location of the pottery studio. The benefit of doing this as well, during the time we're anticipating the facility will need to be closed for approximately 3 years while we the renovation, the pottery studio hopefully would be open by the time the facility closes down. So the pottery users would have a place to go. Unlike some of our swimmers would be able to go into another rec center, pottery users would have no place to go.
That'd be a permanent relocation.
Permanent relocation.
Pottery facility.
Correct. So going back to the goals of the project is to have multi-use space. This aligns with that goal as well. Slide.
Yeah, in terms of the schedule, so we just shared with you the schematic design, and we are scheduled to meet with the public in May 2nd. After that, it will be followed by a 30-day period of public comments. And based on those comments, the consultant or the architect will move forward with more design developments and construction design, or what we call DDs and CDs. And then by the election day, we expect to have approval of the 2026 bond. And from there, we can fund the entire project and move on into the construction contract by spring of 2028. And the gap between the two here is because it's going to take some time to go through the DDs, the CDs, and then the permitting, the site and the building permits, and then going into contract with the contractor, and that's what you see here. Once we have the construction contract done, we're going to start construction by late spring. It's going to take about 2.5 years for construction. That's what we expect, and hopefully we can make it shorter. And then the staff will need some time as well to move in and train before the building is open to the public in about late spring of 2030. So the next step, the big next step, as I mentioned, is meeting with the public in May 2nd and get their inputs after that with the 30-day period. And after that, we're gonna work in the major program areas and fine tune those areas. And as Sarah mentioned, we concurrently will be also working on the pottery concept and the location. That's
I think everyone's seen these videos, but we plan to show these to the community when we go out, so they get a sense of what the result will be.
So I don't know how this place got so old. My memories are like yesterday of my parents taking me to brand new.
It's the first one that we built.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I was in it within a month or two of it being built as a child. But we don't have an advocate for Braddock at the table today, so I'm going to try to overdose my advocacy for it a little bit. And this looks great. Looks wonderful. Obviously needs to be done. But I would just say hurry, hurry, hurry. Construction costs are going up, up, up. I know there's bond constraints and dollars constraints and stuff like that, but I can't critique anything negative about it. And I certainly have studied a lot of rec center lately. But anyway, anybody else have anything?
The first thing was that, does the $110 million total cost include the relocation of a pottery facility, or would that be?
We're not sure yet. We don't have the cost of the other concepts, so I think once we get an estimate.
And the second part, you mentioned universal design. Does this mean that this is kind of going to be the standard going forward, or?
Well, definitely, especially for rec centers. Again, we serve different ages, like, from seniors to 2 years old to 6 months and at the daycare. So definitely that's what you need to look for, some sort of a universal design that serve all those ages.
And I mean, this, as Linwood was saying, I mean, this is quite a bit different. I've been to Audrey Moore numerous times, and it is really showing its age, and so this is a vast improvement of what the existing condition is.
Two things. One, you said that we're locked at the 110 million. But if this is part of the bond, we're only locked because we want to be locked.
So we're locked.
If this comes in, if this moves forward, we find out it's 117 million to do what we need to do. We're not going, we have to cut something. We're saying we're choosing to not spend 7 million on something else. Right? I mean, this is part of that whole.
So think of it as a moving target up until now. So every time we have a meeting, because construction costs go up, they go up. So what we're basically saying is that we are, yes, technically you can come back and not do, what it's going to be a storm if we decide. So their directive, Mohammed and the consultants, you start cutting stuff. And so we will bring it here to say, hey, we no longer can do X because the construction costs have gone up. Of course, this body can decide if they want to, okay, let's not do the one park. But when we're talking about the scale for a rec center, they have to be locked in because it's not just one park. It's 7 parks. It's all the parks, right? When we talk about stuff we can't do, it's not $500,000. It's $5 million. It's $7 million. It's the whole thing. So in order for it to not subsume the entirety of we had to pick a time to say, this is the time now. This is what you're now designing to. You're designing to a cost, which is something we never did before, right? We just sort of let the big thing take up all the oxygen, and we really do we're going to do any of the other stuff. We've got to
The other thing is it's an aesthetic. I don't know what it's called, but I do think that we should consider having space inside it where we can honor Audrey Moore. She had a huge impact on the county. She was a 20-year supervisor. She was chairman of the board. I think it is worth considering something somewhere inside, a display or whatever. But we're getting to the point where Linwood and I are the only 2 people that are going to remember who an Audrey Moore was. And I think there's value, especially in the folks who were political leaders here in the county that were so influential in helping build the county, doing something for them in facilities that we've named after them. So I just ask you to consider that.
Of course, the lobby is the most appropriate place where the most people see it.
Yeah, but
it doesn't have to be super elaborate, just so everybody notices it. Anybody else? Is everybody hungry? Not seeing anybody else, I'm going to then adjourn the.
Okay, thank you, Linwood.
Very much.
That
helped.
the award. So I'll open up the committee and I'll hand it over.
Good evening, everyone. I will be very quick. We're all hungry. Here to talk about the Ellie Doyle Park Service Awards program for this year. Quick review of last year's program. We had a lot of nominations and a great event at Laurel Hill. Feedback was overwhelmingly positive. We did a pretty big revamp of the whole program and the event. It was much shorter, which everyone certainly appreciated. It was touching and poignant. The awardees felt very special. The attendees all thought it went very well. We're happy with it. We got to show off Laurel Hill's culinary staff and their hosting staff, who are always fabulous to work with. And it was a great event. So we hope to build on that for this year. One piece of the awards program is recognizing our outstanding volunteers. Each site is asked to nominate an outstanding volunteer. We have shifted that recognition to a summer concert series for the last 2 summers, and that's worked really well. We'll do that again in 2026. Last year, we had 20 sites and programs that recognized outstanding volunteers. We had 14 that attended the concert with us, as well as Chairman McKay, then Supervisor, now Congressman Walkinshaw, and a number of people on this board attended as well to recognize those volunteers. It was a great event. They also receive a gift and a resolution that this board will approve later in the year. These are the categories of awards for this program. So there are a number of categories like to receive a lot of nominations. The first top 6 bullets there, I believe, are categories that we'll take open nominations for. Chairman's choice is obviously for the chairman of this board, and the Park Foundation award category is selected by the foundation. The nomination form will go live next week and will be available at that link. And the deadline right now will set at Friday, May 22nd. Here's our timeline for this year's award cycle. We'll release an information release next week, and we'll have the form go live in early May. We'll send out the save the dates to all our VIPs. Nominations will be due in May 22nd. I'll collate those nominations. We'll get the lists out to this board for voting, and then it'll come back to the board at the meeting on June 10th for approval of the slate of nominees and approval of that resolution that'll go to the outstanding volunteers. In July, we are working with the chairman's office now on setting the date for that summer concert. So as soon as I have that, I'll let you know. But we'll look for a July concert date to do the outstanding volunteer night. And then we'll move into final preparations for the big Ellie Doyle event. And that date will be October 24th, and again at Laurel Hill. This year's program, Dr. Carter will be the chair of the committee. Jose will join us as the vice chair this year. We always ask for everybody's support on this board for reaching out to get nominations submitted. So anytime you're seeing it on social media or meeting with your constituent groups or your neighborhood associations, anybody that might want to nominate great volunteers for the Park Awards, we ask that you share that information. We'll obviously be doing a lot of outreach on social media, to the Board of Supervisors, to the Friends groups, and anywhere we can spread the word to help get nominations. The more the nominations we have to choose from, the better the program also is on itself. So it's great to have that support from everyone. And the Park Foundation will again be a partner with us on this event. That's what I have.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you again, Allison.
Thank you.
What's the?
Thank you, Jose. We are now adjourned for our dinner break. Okay, I call the March 25th, 2026 Park and Rec meeting to order. We have no public speakers this evening. And so our first item is adoption of March 11th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Bond program, presentation number 2. Fiscal year 26, third quarter. Chairman's matters, been a busy, the budget review meetings with the supervisor very well, but, and so thank you. All participated in that, but beyond that, I pass, Jay.
And so we were invited, actually, we have one of the participants in the here right now. I was invited to a iftar with the American Turkish Friendship Association. They were celebrating, or they wanted to break their fast with some community government agencies or government leaders. And they graciously allowed me to bring 3 of my closest friends. And so Mohammed was there, as long with Yasmin and Bushra came with us. And so it was really great. I won't talk about the food, but the food was really awesome. I could only talk about the food if I wanted to, but it was really wonderful to be able to celebrate. Supervisor Smith was there as well. And so really it was a great opportunity to share a meal, engage in meaningful conversation, and celebrate Ramadan while building stronger connections between the community and local partners. And thank you, Mohammed, for, I was gonna say being one of our dates, but that's weird. And so thank you for with us. It was a really great, great thing. I learned a lot. I learned that you break, I don't want to talk about it. I learned that you break your fast, and I'm just gonna, you break your fast with something natural or one ingredient. You don't break it with anything artificial. And so I didn't know that that's why. So when they broke the fast, it's dates and water. It's what most, did I get that right? Most people break their fast with something that's organic and not something processed. So that's something that I learned. Their dates are really, really good. Exciting. We celebrated Black History Month last year. We celebrate Women's History Month. Last month, every month. We celebrate Women's History Month this month, every month. But in honor of Women's History Month, our staff members were asked to reflect on their experience as women in parks and recreation. So you can watch the Women's History Month content series on Instagram. Marcom is really doing a fantastic job of really celebrating the voices of staff and not just the same voices all the time. Nobody wants to hear from me all the time. They want to hear from other people. And so this is a really great way to highlight some of the wonderful things that we're doing. There's Bushra there again. Wonderful things that we're doing and all of the strong women who work at CPA. Next slide. Earth Day's coming up. Join us on April 25th from 10 to 4 at Lake Fairfax Park. For those of you who are newer to the board, Earth Day is
April 22nd.
April 20. What did I say?
Oh, you said 25th and your event's the
The event's the 25th.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, Earth Day is, Earth Day is one of our largest events that we have. When the weather is nice, I think that 2 years ago had about 7,000. Is that right, Sarah? Something like that.
All right,
There was some rain last year, so but it's a wonderful countywide event. We run the Earth Day celebration for the whole county. We just sponsor it in our parks. And so the celebration is April 25th from 10 to 4 at Lake Fairfax Park. All ages spend the day enjoying outdoor discoveries. Please come, bring your kids. It really is a wonderful event. Local food trucks, craft beer garden, live entertainment from local bands. There's free giveaways. Frying Pan Farm Park usually brings some friends. You see me and Josh with the bunny. And he had it most of the time, and then they just took the picture the one time that I grabbed it from him. So come out and celebrate the planet, connect with nature, and enjoy a vibrant day in the park. Farmers markets are opening soon. See, I said nobody wants to see me and now I've been in 3 slides in a row. So I feel like that's not true. So we operate 10 farmers markets across the county. The mission is to provide residents with access to locally grown products. Opening days are coming. So please feel free to join us at the opening across the county or specifically in your district. As you know, we first day of the farmers markets, we ring the bell thing with the supervisor to announce that farmers market is open. So here is the list of the farmers markets and the dates of their opening, but then they will continue on through the season. Next slide, and we can send this to you as well. Our Federation of Friends on March 16th, FPPA and the Park Authority Board hosted the annual Federation of Friends meeting. I say it right when it's on the slide, Allison. Representatives from all the friends groups were invited to share updates from their sites, as well as hear updates about our advertised proposed budget and the 2026 bond and the LE Doyle. So we gave the same presentations you guys have seen on the bond and the general bond presentation, the one we've given to each board of supervisors. So if you were at those meetings, those are the same presentations that we gave. And then we heard a lot from them about what their wonderful things that they're doing. We have, you know how I love to win when the Park Authority wins awards. So we won the Governor's Environmental Excellence Award. Fairfax County Park Authority was honored at the Governor's Environmental Excellence Award at the environmental. You do this slide. Go ahead.
Yes, so we were honored to have won the Silver Award that focused on the change out of the energy system out at Spring Hill. The award that got the gold did a very similar thing, but they did the geothermal and the solar, but they also added into it a waste management treatment recycling system. I sat at the same table with her. That's William. So like we're like going to be more competitive now, but it was great to meet many of the people in the environmental field across other parks and school systems across the state. So that was fantastic honor.
Nigel went with me to accept the award, so thank you very much. And so here's some wonderful pictures from there. Next slide. Monday and Tuesday, one of the trends in Park and Rec in general is conferences are great, trips for one person are great, but really that going over to different park systems and just sort of absorbing everything that they do and giving tours. So there's sort of like a give a tour, get a tour type of thing. So we hosted Charlotte, Mecklenburg County Parks on Monday and Tuesday. Here our staff did a phenomenal job of putting together a wonderful program. Again, sort of in the general conversations and networking, what do you do great? What do they do great? The director for Charlotte, we want to diversify our portfolio and get into more revenue. And I said, well, you know what? You know who does revenue really well? That girl. And so we invited them up to sort of talk about how they could possibly diversify their income stream by sort of getting into a little bit more revenue. On Monday, we toured and was at Oakmont. Then we went to Patriot Park North. They were absolutely blown away by the facility and the operations at Patriot Park North. And then on Tuesday, we did Mount Vernon. We toured them, our new Mount Vernon Rec Center. And then we went to the Laurel Hill Central Green. And then we went over and partnered with Nova Parks, went to Occoquan to view their restaurant facility and Potomac, what's it called? Riverview. And then talk about their enterprise facilities as well. And so really great thing. We will expect to then, I will take a small contingent down to Charlotte to view their rec centers and things that they do really, really well. It is just a really great way of getting down in depth of what you do and asking very specific questions. So they had, I think, 4 or 5 division directors that came up. So it was a really wonderful, and staff did a phenomenal job. Thank you for everybody who spoke and we went to Lake Fairfax. I forgot Lake Fairfax. We went to Lake Fairfax as well and talked about the water mine. Next slide. All right, upcoming events. Easter is upon us. So on Saturday the 4th, we have Baskets and Bunnies at Burke Lake Park. The 11th, the Bluebells should be coming up. Bluebells at the Bend, at Riverbend on the 11th. If you missed or if it rains the cherry blossoms away, you have another shot at at Bluebells at the Bend. The Horse Expo at Frying Pan Farm Park is on the 18th. Same day as we're having the ribbon cutting at Mount Vernon Woods Park. It's also on the 18th at 10 a.m. The Horse Expo will go most of the day if you want to swing by there. Again, as I said before, Big One Earth Day at Lake Fairfax on the 25th. And then Healthy Strides 5K at Burke Lake will be on Saturday the 2nd. Okay. Oh, one more, we just found out, I was just telling Rick that BOS is proposing a change in the boards, authorities, and commissions. One of the changes to what you had said earlier about the tree commission is to have one environmental board or commission, and combining the tree commission, EQUAC, and wetlands.
Review board.
Wetland review board. So that's one of the things that are in conversation. So just
I think they have a project where they're trying to reduce the overall number of boards and
Yes.
commissions
Yes.
that exist.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. WTOP, by the way, had an article just today on the Bluebells, in which Nova Parks, Bull Run, Seneca, Riverbend, and other sites were mentioned. So a little bit of extra publicity doesn't hurt. I was out at Riverbend this week. The Bluebells we're just emerging, so in 2-3 weeks they ought to really be different. So going around the horn, Bill Bowie, anything to share?
Pass.
Passes. I will note, Bill's in Florida for the spring. The regular season starts first pitch tomorrow. Faisal.
The regular pitch
El
is
Paso.
being, the regular pitch is being thrown right, first pitch is being
Right.
thrown right now as we
No,
speak.
tonight, right now. Okay,
Tonight.
sorry. Got it. So you're watching this.
You see when he's looking off screen, that's a big television. for the baseball game.
Yeah, so he would.
Don't rat him out.
Okay, Faisal, I'm sorry. Yes, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Yes, El Paso.
Okay, thank you. Fiona?
Big thank you to the Natural Resources Division for being right on top of the for news. And it's not great news, but we still appreciate their fast action. Appreciate them bringing sort of attention. That opens.
Yes. Okay, last. Say. Wow. I think that concludes our meeting. The meeting is adjourned.
He might, yeah, I think, everyone.